समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
It's almost D-Day for the big Bihar election, and the big talking point is this: the historic high voter turnout in phase 1. What is the story that it tells us? The Prime Minister says it means advantage NDA. Prashant Kishor and his party Jan Suraj also say that it indicates a sign of the voter wanting change. The opposition has not really made any bets on what this turnout tells us. With just a few hours to go for the second and final phase of voting and the exit polls to reveal their forecasts, we'll be talking in a moment from now to Yashwant Deshmukh, political analyst and the head of C Voter, to ask him for his perspective on who's ahead and who's behind. I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo Story. The first phase of Bihar elections saw a historically high voter turnout. And the big question is what this means for the different contenders. Will women voters of Bihar be not the X factor but the Y factor? And will it be, as many political pundits suggest, an advantage for Nitish Kumar if the female vote has gone broadly in one direction? Remember, there is a 10,000 rupees scheme that the NDA is hoping will deliver the female voter. The opposition has called the scheme, quote unquote, bribery. Also, what happens to the big debate around vote chori? Rahul Gandhi did a big press conference in the middle of the Bihar campaign, but his focus was on Haryana, where he claimed the photograph of a Brazilian model had been entered 22 times in the electoral rolls to make the argument that not all is well with how elections are being conducted. Is it going to be the NDA or the Mahagathbandhan? What about Prashant Kishor? Prashant Kishor, who's made the argument that this time he will either sweep or be marginal. Ya arsh pe, ya farsh pe. Who will he damage more? He's reacted also to the high voter turnout, saying it indicates that the voter wants decisive change. The Prime Minister, in one of his public speeches, says that the voter turnout indicates that actually people don't want change. They're happy with what they have, that it's going to be the NDA that's back again. Yashwant Deshmukh is our newsmaker today. Let's welcome our favorite political analyst, the head of C Voter. His Bihar tracker has been so useful for all of us to learn from. Thank you, Yashwant, and welcome to the program. Let's start by asking you to talk about the voter turnout. There was a time in election analysis in India jab turnout बहुत बड़ी चीज मानी जाती थी. Then in the middle, pundits stopped reading too much into the voter turnout. They were not able to understand what it necessarily signified. A voter turnout, classically high voter turnout, can either mean pro-incumbency or it can mean a demand for change. It can actually mean either thing. So what, according to you, is this historically high voter turnout in Bihar telling us, especially when you juxtapose it with your Bihar tracker?
Barkha, you are absolutely right. I mean, for almost like, I would say 50 years in electoral politics, a higher turnout almost always kind of synced with the anti-incumbent verdicts, But in the last 20 years, that thing started kind of deviating from the usual formula. And in the last 15 years, definitely we have seen all kind of verdicts, We have seen pro-incumbent and anti-incumbent verdicts with high turnout. We have seen pro and anti-incumbent verdict with a lower turnouts as well.
Yeah.
We have seen status quo of turnout producing both sides of verdict. So
Exactly.
Very clear that I don't think now it would be right to say that high or the low turnout can anyway be attributed to any kind of verdict. Yes, scientifically speaking, what happens is that high turnout definitely means more enthusiastic voter, no doubt about that. Low turnout definitely means a less enthusiastic voter participation. And generally speaking, in a lower turnout, people which or parties who have a stronger grassroots network, they tend to benefit, because even in a very unenthusiastic crowd, they tend to pull out people from their homes more. So a cadre driven or the infrastructure driven or the money driven, whichever way you want to look at it, they tend to gain sometimes in the low turnout. But high turnout is something which throws the book out of the window. I mean, basically, which is something which is out of syllabus for everyone. Generally speaking, people try to say, "Ye hamare liye hai, ye hamare liye hai." This is because of that. Another thing which is very interesting, and that has happened in the 2011 onwards, and maybe directly or indirectly, some credit has to be given to Anna Andolan for that. Citizenship participation and that thing, and 2000 Anna Andolan onwards, 11 onwards, we have seen a very secular trend of higher turnouts across all the states. Yes, there are other things at play. I get it, but I would like to see it as a more evolved idea of citizenry. I mean, in that way that okay, we have more responsibilities being a citizen, and yes, definitely better turnout factors in terms of female voters. Now, when I say better, for 60 years, the historical data suggests there was a gender gap of turnout almost like 10%. Between 50s to right up to the next 60 years. And then the gender turnout gap started going down a bit. But in the last 10 years, the most remarkable thing that we have witnessed in India is that the female turnout now taking over the male turnout. Going beyond the male turnout. And that is a remarkable thing that we are witnessing, not just in the first phase of Bihar election, but also across many states that we have seen in the last 10 years. Now, that is something which I actually celebrate for a simple reason that it's not just about the gender parity, because there is a statistical issue out there, which I'm sure everybody is asking, and then you must have gone through many tweets and things about the baseline figures, and the baseline has changed. So this turnout has really increased and blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, I know these are technical things, but they are very easy to understand. It's no big deal. No big deal. Thing is, keep the electorate gender skew separate from the voter. These are two different things. Electorate gender skew is...
Explain this.
Okay. Electorate is those who are on the roll. That is your electorate. Voter is who actually went out on the polling booth.
Vote. Yeah.
All right. These are two different things. Okay. Now, say, I mean, we are discussing Bihar, so I will give you an example of Bihar, which will become very easy. Now, in Bihar, in the electorate, it is not 50-50. It is 53 male and 47 female. And that has been a skew for a really long time. Earlier, it used to be even more. 20 years back, it was 55-45. With the gender gap reducing, it became 53 and 47. So, in every 100 voters, male voters already have a kind of a 6-point lead over the female votes as far as the their just presence in the electoral roll is concerned. Okay. Now we are talking about turnout figures. So when you get male and female turnout figures, that means male turnout, suppose male turnout in our figure, what we have from the booths and in our C-Voter network feedback, 62% male turnout has happened, approximately. All right? Out of 53 males, 62% of that male voter has gone out to vote. All right. Approximately 69% is turnout of the females as per our data. Now that means 69% of those 47 females, they have gone to vote. Okay. So the females have almost 8 point approximately 7 to 8 point lead as far as turnout is concerned. But the males have 6 point lead as far as the sheer size is concerned.
So basically, put simply, there are more men registered to vote, but in actual fact, a higher percentage of women who are registered come out to vote.
Oh, they have come out to vote. Exactly. So what
Right.
happens is that when higher number of females come out, that doesn't mean that in the final vote share there is a bigger share of female vote share, because when you take this thing statistically,
In absolute numbers, there are always more male voters, but in percentage terms, a greater percentage. Yeah.
it's like in the school days, you do a
Yeah.
percentage thing, na? 53 star or multiplied by 62 divided by
Yeah.
100. That figure and 50 and 47 star 69 divided by 100, that figure. You add that figure, that becomes your total voter space. Now that voter base, when you do a percentage, you will realize it is 50-50 now. So
Yeah.
it's almost 50-50. This is big. This is big because historically, not only the electorate was skewed towards males, the voter was skewed towards male, and even after higher turnout, the sheer number of the males in the voters also was quite big. Okay, so I did all the calculation, and we did last actually 6 elections, male, female turnout and everything, and then we decided we'll compare just 2020 to 2025. So what I can tell you, for example, that in 5 years back, in the first phase, I mean, let's discuss only the first phase right now. Okay, 5 years back, Barkha, there were almost 22 lakh males more than the females in the voter list in the first phase. 22 lakh. However, because of the better female turnout, that number got down. I mean, that gap got down. All right. Now, let me give you the numbers.
Yeah.
In that, I'm sorry, it's just too much of data on my laptop right now. Okay, just give me
No
a
problem.
second. Just a second. Okay. So we have 21 lakh 16,000 more males as far as the voter list is concerned. Okay. But as far as the actual vote 5 years back was concerned, the gap was only 2,58,000 more males.
Right.
Okay. Now, if we look the same thing this year, the gap of the electorate almost remained the same, 21,58,000. That means approximately 22 lakh males are more, 21,58,000 more. But the gap in the voter, it reduced further only to 10,000 more male in the voters by courtesy of the better female. So in percentage, you are now looking historically for the first time that we are witnessing a Bihar election where male and female number of voters is almost the same. It is 50-50, literally 50-50 kind of parity. And that's huge, Barkha.
Yeah.
I am not talking about results. I am just talking about the fact that this has happened. And that's amazing. Amazing. And because even in the best of the free world, the more advanced democracies, this parity is better than that. First thing.
Now, now a lot of the linkage between the female turnout is being linked to this, 10,000 rupees scheme. The opposition has called it bribery. The NDA believes it will be a game changer, the scheme for women. We've seen this debate before play out in Maharashtra, in Madhya Pradesh, where welfare schemes for women have in the last mile catapulted, a kind of sentiment for, in Madhya Pradesh, for example, for Shivraj Singh Chauhan led campaign. He was not eventually the chief minister, but you saw what happened. You saw it with, Eknath Shinde and Devendra Fadnavis also. How do you see the role of this campaign as a game changer?
Well, it is a game changer. I mean, it's a game changer in more ways than one. However, I mean, I also say that Nitish Kumar cannot be compared to Shinde or or Hemant Soren, or for that matter Shivraj Singh Chauhan, because they were more transactional as a one-off scheme just to win the election. While here is Nitish Kumar, who is doing it for 20-25 years, giving a cycle, then a push-up, then a scholarship, following up with giving $50,000 to parents of the girl child when they graduate, and and so on and so forth. What it has done in practical means, Barkha, is Nitish Kumar's own health and politically as well, he was getting faded away from the public memory or the political context or political, he was getting into oblivion. I mean, somehow. This scheme has kind of rebooted the system, particularly the and it has refreshed Nitish Kumar all over again, as if there was some virus in the system and you have run an antivirus and you have reloaded the operating system. Phone hang ho gaya to pura phone ekdam se aapne hot switch kar diya, and all of a sudden you are realizing, oh, he is back. He is back in the narrative, is back in the debate, he is back among the females, and people are uncomfortable with that. Everybody, including the BJP. Everybody is uncomfortable with that. Not only the RJD. So
because rumor to ye bhi tha that the BJP could in an NDA win, the BJP could marginalize Nitish, but a rebooted Nitish is not so easy to marginalize.
So I was told the game plan was something like that BJP will get 80-90 seats and Nitish will be to sub 30s, and then all of a sudden with Chirag and everybody, the Maharashtra will be repeated. That was and there was a merit to these arguments. The way the BJP was so hesitant to declare Nitish Kumar as the face, it was only when all of a sudden probably they realized Nitish is now back in the equation, and yes, Mr. Modi is popular, but in Bihar's case, it is Nitish who is in the driving seat, and they need his photo. They need his photograph to convince the female voters that we are Nitish alike. Vote for us as well. Modi ji hai saath mein, double engine hai, Modi ji, Nitish ji saath mein karenge. So yes, all of a sudden this narrative has been changed. Now, result might be anything. I mean, I'm not contesting right now. I'm not here to say, but the fact that this female narrative and the female turnout has brought Nitish Kumar into center stage. That itself shows not just the strength of brand Nitish Kumar, but it also shows the strength of a vote bank which is caste agnostic, which is religion agnostic, which is not really divisive, agenda driven, which is only and only looking on issues and working on on something which is futuristic or which is more future driven. In that,
the last time this happened was his cycle scheme. If you remember, when he gave cycles, prohibition was another scheme of his, contentious. You and I may have different opinions on it. Prashant Kishor certainly has criticized it, for example. But it was once again a scheme to court women, right? Nitish Kumar has had two kinds of voters, the extreme backward classes and the female voter. But he is, as you said, here in this scheme, transcending caste, religion, all divides. The only other person who says he's trying to do that is Prashant Kishor. It's very interesting, who is a former colleague of Nitish Kumar and has also run his campaigns. When you say Nitish is back in the game, do you think that fatigue factor with Nitish, that your own tracker reflected? Your own tracker has reflected that, Tejashwi was at the top of chief ministerial favorites and Prashant Kishor had actually overtaken Nitish Kumar in those popularity ratings. Now we're, of course, now we're on the eve of the election. How do you see this rebooting of Nitish? That fatigue has gone, or it's too early to say?
Fatigue is gone among the female voters. The fatigue is there among the male voters for sure. That is, see, what has happened is that this entire thing, for example, prohibition. Now, when you see on the ground, largely when you talk to male voters, they are all critical of prohibition. Almost all. Very difficult to find anti-prohibition voices among the males for obvious reasons. But the female sentiment is not the same. I have seen. I mean, many people say, नहीं ऐसा नहीं, आप बात कीजिए. अब तो दारू और भी महंगी हो गया है और तबीयत खराब हो जाता है पी करके, वैसा वाला दारू और वो ऐसा है वैसा है. But when we check with the females, they are not saying the same thing. They are simply saying that it is not probably implemented well, which means there is a lot of illegal liquor thing going on, which should not have happened. They want stricter implementation of that. What females are saying, either strictly imply it or don't do it, because otherwise it is it's a non-starter. But overall, Prashant Kishor, for that matter, brought in a fresh narrative in this election as an agent of change. He appealed to big number of migrant voters who have seen the world and want change in the Bihar. So he has come up an X factor, no doubt about that. Question was whether his magnetic pull is going to take away even bigger something which the fatigue of Nitish Kumar might have generated, that okay, now Nitish is not in the game, so Prashant is the one who will take head on the Tejashwi Yadav and RLD thingy on one hand.
So what is the answer? What is the answer to that question? Prashant Kishor looked at the same turnout. So look at how interesting it is. Prime Minister looks at the turnout and says it indicates advantage NDA. People want us back. Prashant Kishor looks at the turnout and says this indicates that people want change. What is the answer to the question you just posed? That can Prashant Kishor counter?
Even from Tejaswi's perspective, answer is right, Barkha.
Right.
The thing is, the turnout increase, if somebody tells you it is only the females who have come out, no, it's not like that. Female turnout is higher for sure, but it is not the only factor which has increased. So there is a migrant factor in the turnout. They have remained there after Chhat, and they have voted for, in a progressive change-driven agenda. A section of that possibly must have gone to Prashant Kishor. We know only in the post poll and the actual result, not before that. By the way, let me tell all the audience very clearly. Since last year, we have decided not to do exit poll. We are doing trackers all year, and then we will come out with the post poll to explain why it has happened, understanding the issues and demographics. So no exit polls from C voter. That's a policy decision. Having said that, PK actually attracted that part. So a certain section of the turnout got up by that. Nitish Kumar female turnout definitely is there. And then the Sarkari Rozgar turnout of Tejaswi is also there. So it's not just one factor. Question is, which factor has superseded which factor? Right now, from issues perspective, we don't know. Only from the gender perspective, we have done the analysis. One thing to start with, baseline question. Now, many people who are saying that baseline is not the same, baseline is low, that is why it is low. It's all BS. Please don't listen to that. Because total number of voters is 4 lakh more than the 5 years back in these elections. So the baseline is not just the same, it's higher. So there is no question of baseline being low. Now, what we have calculated, Barkha, is a broad understanding of how many voters have increased, how many more voters have come out in absolute term. Forget about the percentage and everything. Okay.
Yeah.
There are about 4 lakh more voters than 5 years back in the electoral rolls. And there are 38 lakh more voters who have come out to vote than 5 years back. In the
No. 1 minute. This is very important. There are 4 lakh more registered voters than last time.
Yeah, that's true.
And there is an increase of 38 lakh voters.
Exactly.
Wow.
That's what is interesting. Suppose if you don't look at the fact that 4 lakh more voters there, suppose if the voter list is the same, then the sheer fact that 38 lakh more people have come out to vote, that tells you the kind of enthusiasm and excitement around these elections that is. Now, issues and other things we do not know who has voted for that, but gender wise, out of these 38 lakh, almost about 20 lakh voters are females and 18 lakh are males.
I want to say this again because it's such an interesting data point. 4 lakh more voters overall are registered compared to 2020.
Yeah.
But in those who are voting, when you compare the people who actually go out and vote, 38 lakh more Biharis have voted than in 2020.
Exactly. Now this,
I mean, that is extraordinary. That's an extraordinary number.
that's extraordinary. Out of these 38 lakhs, what we could split in our analysis so far is only one thing. 20 lakh are female and 18 lakh are males. All right.
Right.
Now, we know the enthusiasm of the female voters for sure. In the male voters, there would be new voter, there would be migrant voter, there would be Sarkari Naukri ka wada wala voters, there would be anti-incumbent voters as well. I mean, largely speaking, you know. So it's not just Nitish Kumar's 10,000 that has got the turnout up. It's a mix of, and that's a success of campaigns.
So it's a well fought election. Everybody has managed to bring the vote out. Everybody, all the entities have managed to create a greater enthusiasm among the voters of Bihar.
Exactly. So it's a well fought election so far. It's a well conducted election, and campaigns have worked well, I would say, all across. So there is, I can't even say that any campaign is failed. I won't say even Rahul Gandhi's campaign is a failure because I don't know. I mean, how many of these have actually
come from that? Yeah, we don't know. Yeah.
We don't know. Largely speaking, I would like to believe that Nitish Kumar thing has worked more in the females. I would like to believe that your Badlao ki Rajniti of Prashant Kishor and Sarkari Naukri ka Vaida with by Tejashwi, vote chori of Rahul Gandhi, this would have driven.
You know, let me read out a funny comment from one of our regular viewers, Prasad. He says, Barkha, if 38 lakh more voters turned out in Bihar this time, that's the entire electorate of New York City from last Tuesday that turned out in Bihar. And we are still talking only of phase 1. Astounding.
That's right. That's right. I don't know if Mr. Mamdani would be humbled with this fact or not. But anyways, that pretty much sums it up.
Correct. Sorry, continue. So you're saying कि सबने अपना Rahul Gandhi with vote chori, Nitish with his 10,000 rupees scheme, Prashant with his focus on Palayan, Rahul Gandhi with his focus on vote chori. Everybody has done their bit to get the vote out, basically.
Everybody has done, and the fact that there was not a single isolated incident of violence or the kind of thing that the Bihar elections were known for. It was a largely peaceful election, number one.
But I have a question. Sorry, I have a question. If there are only 4 lakh more registered voters than last time, but 38 lakh more voters have voted in this time, that means the last time there wasn't that much enthusiasm as there is this time.
Exactly. This time it is more enthusiasm. All the camps, I would say. And we will know. Results, Barkha, that which side got more enthusiastic to do what. I mean, certainly the turnouts sometimes go up in a very hyper competitive environment. My own hunch was I was expecting that the record female turnout out of those 38, I was expecting probably 30 lakh would be only female. I mean, in that way, but no, it is higher. It is 20. I mean, 2 lakhs more than the male, no doubt about it. But male turnout has also gone up. So,
but this also means that people, for whatever reason, either there is a series of different campaigns that have managed to touch a chord, and therefore there are multiple narratives competing, or this is a very decisive wave election.
Possible. I mean, to pick up the line from Prashant Kishor, Arsh pe ya Farsh pe wali jo cheez hai, is actually working with everybody right now. This could be a very neck and neck, touch and go kind of election, and this could be a one-way sweep either way, depending on which issue and what has motivated people at large. However, the conventional wisdom again, now it's the qualitative side of it, no quantitative in that. That there were Congress, RJD, and Prashant Kishor and also the routine campaign of the NDA, who were kind of competing with each other with the higher turnout on the males, while there was only one gentleman who was competing with himself for higher turnout of females.
Then
So,
that is Nitish.
That's Nitish. That's Nitish territory, if I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So that gives an impression that, okay, this largely might be ending up as advantage Nitish Kumar. I mean, people who were discounting him off. That's why he is back in the narrative, because
Yeah.
it's narrative is not something which media drives, or we say, or I say, or you say. Narrative is something, Barkha, which people talk. People talk in the mohallas, on the panwala, on the chai ki dukan, in homes and everything. Narrative is that. So that is where I believe that things have changed. And
But there are also 18 lakh more men who have voted.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's so
That's what
interesting.
I'm saying, that you have to keep that in mind. It's not 38 lakh female voters only have come out. There are 20 lakh females and 18 lakh males that have come out. So one has to be very, very careful in understanding. It is very, very interesting, very exciting, yet very complicated. Anybody trying to say one way or the other kind of try, I say, hold on. It's not that simple. You need to be very careful, very cautious. You have to eventually look into the seat by seat kind of analysis and broad pictures alike. But it is going to be a historic election in every way. Every way. Barkha, there are 3 mandates possible. You see, there is no 4 mandate, right? Suppose Prashant Kishor springs a surprise and surprises everybody. And we all say, oh, hats off. You have either become the kingmaker, whichever. Now, here is a guy who for the 2 years started something which, without any Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood legacy or any Anna Andolan or Jayaprakash Andolan legacy, is a startup on its own, which is caste agnostic, religion agnostic, and trying to do politics in the Hindi heartland of Bihar. It cannot be bad than that. It cannot be worse than that to do a kind of experiment. Okay, if he is successful to any extent, then we are looking at something which we should be looking forward to. Okay, there could
what would you consider a success for Prashant Kishor? Pawan Verma made the argument, who's Prashant Kishor's national spokesperson, that 28% of Bihar has traditionally never voted for either alliance. So they are targeting that 28%, and they hope that they are able to shave off a small percentage from either alliance, right? That's the vote share game. Now, vote share doesn't necessarily translate into seats. So exactly. I want to ask you, what would you consider a successful performance by Prashant Kishor?
Okay. So my answer would be more psychological in that way.
Yes.
Because the political talk would be, if either he is king or kingmaker, then only he is a success. Otherwise, he is a failure. That's what the normal, even Prashant's own thing, that harsh pe or farsh pe, so if he goes that he is at first, I don't consider him in failure. No, not at all. Because for me, the bigger thing is the vote share. If Chirag Paswan with 5.5% votes polled 5 years back can become a national and regional player, of importance, where he can really drag hard bargain with the BJP.
Yeah.
My benchmark is Chirag Paswan's number in vote share. Right. If Prashant Kishor manages to get more votes than him 5 years back, without any legacy, without any caste, without his dad being in politics, without him being a Bollywood or a Tollywood actor, I would consider that as a success, that, okay, he generated that much of traction. Number one. Number two, if he continues there, even after that, if I was his advisor, I would say, don't quit. Don't quit, because you have made up your mark, and the future maybe, because every 5 years you will have at least 10% new voter coming in, and 10% old fading out. So the narrative could be yours if you are persistent. So that's for me, the success is him surpassing the vote share of Chirag Paswan. That's the success for me. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, come to think of it, if with the probable vote share of 2% in Mukesh Sahni can force the Opposition Alliance to declare him as a deputy CM.
So the
You know,
LJP had 5.8% vote share in 2020. You
That's
are
why-
saying if Prashant Kishor gets 6% of the vote share, you'd consider it significant.
I will consider him a success, because that means nobody can in future election or anywhere ignore him or kind of think that okay, he is useless, he is going to fither away. No, because his vote bank is coming to him with an idea of change which doesn't go away. It's not something that they will go back to caste-based orientation just because he is unsuccessful. So
Right.
if he and every 5 years there would be new catchment of 10% electorate adding up in Bihar and every other state, which will be more open to his agenda than any other caste-driven or routine agenda. So my benchmark is that he should surpass what Chirag got last
Okay. All right. So that is Prashant Kishor. That's one scenario. Now you said there are 3 scenarios possible.
Second scenario, Tejashwi becomes the chief minister.
Hmm.
If Tejashwi becomes the chief minister, then the biggest question of the hour, that is unemployment, will take the center stage. Nobody can then rub it off, nobody can wipe it out, nobody put under the right, nothing. It
Okay.
will become the kind of thing which every politician, every government, every opposition politician will have to address, think about it. Only trouble with that is his solution for that problem right now doesn't seem to be coming from a very good fiscal prudence and an upside down solution which would increase the industrialization and generate jobs and other things. It comes more from the freebie kind of a system, and that too an unsustainable one, because 2.5 crore naukri hawa se nahi aayegi sarkari. That sheer number of sarkari naukri is mind boggling, which is unsustainable even for a class 5 grade student's calculation, that it's not sustainable, right?
Yeah.
People, when they will look at him that okay, aisa karne se hum election jeet sakte hain, then every other politician will start following that. And it's like that kind of a syndrome where Labharti Yojanas, even though Prime Minister tried his best to campaign against Revdi culture, but eventually his own party started doing the Revdi culture, right? Because of the electoral compulsion. So if Tejashwi wins, he is going to open a floodgate. Thanks to him, the critical issue of unemployment will come center stage. Nobody would be able to ignore it. But unfortunately, the solution that he is trying to give is so unsustainable that if every other politician starts doing that, I don't know how it is going to roll out. Okay.
Yeah.
But it is because we will be talking about unemployment, nothing else. Okay. Third solution, third probability, Nitish Kumar becomes the chief minister. And if that happens, then it will be, historic in multiple frameworks. Multiple frameworks. First of all, it will announce the definitive arrival of India's biggest vote bank. That is the female vote bank. Definitive arrival. Just the way if Tejashwi comes in, it will be announcement of the definitive vote bank of Gen Z coming into the center stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
It will be like no other election will ever be the same again if Tejashwi comes in. If Prashant comes in, no other election will be the same again. And same goes with Nitish Kumar. If Nitish Kumar comes in, then all the historic traditional equations of caste and religion and those kind of calculus will be out of the window. Because then we are looking at almost like 47-48% of Indians who are not driven by caste and religious equations, who are issue centric, who are more focused on the future, and who have a capacity to come out in even bigger numbers to cover up the gender gap.
I would be delighted if that happens, because I think for too long, we have assumed women vote the same way as the men in their house. Women are not, are never their own minds. So it would be actually wonderful if women are able to assert their own political relevance as voters.
Absolutely, Barkha. And that too, again, if that happens and that fountainhead becomes Bihar, then Bihar will be again at least taking up the glory of bringing the biggest changes in the electoral landscapes of India all over again.
Yeah.
Because if it happens in Bihar, forget about it happening. Why not it is happening in UP or Kerala or Tamil Nadu or anywhere in any other state? It is bound to happen. There is no other way. And I have said to you in personal conversation and also probably that I don't consider money given to females as a Labharti thing, because we know cash given to male, where exactly it will go, we all know. But cash given to females goes into education, goes into Medicare of their family, goes into future enterprise, goes into back to the society in a very, very constructive way. Cash given to male goes down the drain.
Does the turnout finally, Yashwant, tell you which of these three scenarios is more likely, or the turnout is such that any of the three scenarios could take place?
Honestly speaking, just looking at the scenario, any of the three is a probability in that way.
Amazing.
So yeah, if it is a very close contest, I don't really see Prashant Kishor doing something like Arvind Kejriwal. Practically, because of the, again, traditional way of thinking that he doesn't have that kind of legacy and he doesn't have that kind of a party-based infrastructure to convert that emotion to a change. But if he becomes a kingmaker position, that itself will be a huge thing if he manages that. But as I said, I'm looking at his vote share. If he crosses Chirag, then if not today, 5 years down the lane, we are going to have this discussion, provided he continues and sticks to his agenda. I think the important thing is to also look at the turnout tomorrow. I know C Voter is not doing exit polls on a principal position, but you are doing a post-poll analysis once the elections are over. So amazing figure there, 38 lakh more voters, 4 lakh more registered voters, but 38 lakh more people voted. And in that, 20 lakh women and 18 lakh men. And this basically says anything is possible in this election. Right? The NDA reads it as an advantage for itself. The opposition says it means change. And you're saying it could go either way. But yes, Nitish Kumar is back in the conversation because the female voter is back in the center stage. And he's the one who's really, in a sense, brought them back into the conversation. So it is fascinating, Yashwant. This was a really fascinating conversation. Looking forward to seeing you day after tomorrow with C Voters post-poll analysis. Thank you so much. Take care and see you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.